Hey everybody, another GMG review. Today we're taking a look at the KRULEBOYZ, the new Orruk Warclan faction that is part of the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Dominion box from Games Workshop. Now, this is a big kind of like stylistic shift for the orcs. The Brian Nelson orc of the last like 15 to 20 years has kind of dominated the orc culture in Games Workshop, and these guys are a little bit leaner and meaner. They look, honestly, a lot more like pre-Brian Nelson orcs, old Citadel orcs, and I kind of like it. But the box contains 39 KRULEBOYZ minis, enough to play a 940 point, I think, army. It's 940 or 960, I think it's 940, which is a bit under what the Stormcast have, but obviously this is a Horde army, and even though they have almost twice as many models, you're getting not quite as many points, because they're orcs. So in the box, you're going to get cards for sort of interim point values and allegiance abilities for the KRULEBOYZ that allow you to play with them right out of the box. And that's going to include a single Bottleline unit, 2 big Hobgrat Slitters units, a Skewer Bottleline unit, and then 4 leaders. So enough to play roughly a 1,000-point match play game of Age of Sigmar out of the box with the core box and the Stormcast. So what do we got here? Well, we got pitch battle profiles and some sort of core allegiance abilities. Now, obviously, there could be a book of KRULEBOYZ coming out, a battle tome. I would be unsurprised if it didn't come out very shortly after this box drops, which will likely add the new models. We've seen there's the big orc with or on back of a troll. He's got kind of a Tolkien thing going on, riding a troll. Trog, rather. And then some other sort of like units added to the list to make it 1,500. So, allegiance abilities, they have venom-encrusted weapons. If the unmodified hit roll for a KRULEBOYZ Orruk model is a 6, the attack causes the number of mortal wounds equal to the weapon's damage characteristic, and the attack sequence ends. And this ability has no effect on mount attacks. So every single KRULEBOYZ Orruk unit, so not the Hobgrats, obviously, not anything that's not a KRULEBOYZ Orruk, gets these exploding 6 mortal wounds equal to damage. It's not just 1 mortal wound, it's equal to the damage of the attack, and that's pretty crazy. We got the point values for the Gut Rippers. 10 of them are 180 points. They're 2 wound orcs with some cool kind of like offensive abilities. Kill-A-Boss with Stabgrot, the foot guy, 140 points. He's a leader. Kill-A-Boss on Great Gnashtooth. He's the mounted one, 200 points. Again, a leader. Merknob with Belchabana, 115 points. Swamp Caller Shaman with a Potgrot, 125 points. The Hobgrat Slitters. So 10 of them are 95. This is kind of your horde unit. And the Skewer Bottleline are 120 points for 3. They're a bit like the Raptors, the Vanguard Raptors from the Stormcast. So, War Scroll, Kill-A-Boss on Great Gnashtooth. This is the centerpiece model for the faction, or for the box set, basically. 10-inch move, 10 wounds, 3+ save, bravery 7. He's a tough boy. He's got a Jagged Boss-Sticka, which is 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage, and Bone Crushing Fangs on the mount, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2, 2 damage. I mean, he's no Chaos Lord on Great Krakadrak, but he's still pretty darn good. He's got a mount, and then all part of the plan, if a friendly KRULEBOYZ unit fails a battle shock test within 3, only 1 model ever flees. So if he's sticking around a unit, any KRULEBOYZ unit, and that includes the Grots, only lose a single model whenever they fail. So that's a big, like it saves you CPs from making super big battle shock tests, and it also means that your big units take big casualties. They're probably not going to all run away. And then Savage Hound, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit if it made a charge move in the same turn. Now remember, you cannot stack modifiers higher than +1, so no point in all at attacking, but it would be a way of getting around negative modifiers to hit too if you want to add more than 1. We got a Kill-A-Boss with Stabgrot. So you see it's actually 2 models, but much like the Lord Imperatant, he's just a single miniature that happens to be in 2 places, and he stays within 1 inch. Neat for measuring auras and commands, and also for making his attacks go off. He is a 5-inch move, 4+ save, 6 wounds, bravery 7. His boss hackers, 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. It seems like a pretty standard like hero melee profile now. His Rusting Flail, 2-inch range, 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 1 damage. And the Prized Shiv of the Stabgrot, 3 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. Companion means that they're all a standard sort of like 1 single model. And then you can arm them differently. You can either have the Rusting Flail or a Scare Shield. If you have Scare Shield, you have a 3+ save. I see the Scare Shield as being way more popular. I'd rather have a 3+ save than 2 attacks at 3s and 3s, -1. All part of the plan. If a friendly's KRULEBOYZ unit fails a battle shock test within 3, only one model from the unit flees, same as the one on Great Gnashtooth. And you hold them off. Each time a wound or mortal wound is allocated to this unit, not negated, you can choose to risk this unit's Stabgrot. Roll a dice. On a 1 to 5, it's killed. On a 6, the Stabgrot is not killed, and the wound is just negated. If the Stabgrot's killed, the model representing it's removed from play before the wound is negated. So, interesting. So you either, like, if you're gonna die, you can use him. On a 1 to 5, he dies. On a 6, you don't die, and also he doesn't die, which is kind of neat. So, I mean, it's a last chance, basically, to stay alive. It doesn't get rid of the prize shiv, which I find interesting. Where does it say? The Stabgrot attacks with prize. He does attack with the prize shiv. So if he's removed, you lose the prize shiv attacks, I guess, by default. Just doesn't mention it during you hold him off. A Merc Knob with Belchabana. I love that the Belchabana is like, it clearly has some kind of giant animal tongue cut off and then hung from it to make it look like it has an actual tongue. 5-inch move, 4+ save, 6 wounds, and bravery 7. He's got a Merc Knob Cleava, which is again 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage. It just seems like a real like standard attack profile now. He's got the Power of Kragnos. Interesting. Not of Gork and Morka. Who are these orcs that don't worship Gork and Mork and they worship Kragnos instead? When a friendly KRULEBOYZ unit, KRULEBOYZ Orruk unit, wholly within 12 of this unit, is affected by a spell or unless spell, roll a dice. On a 5+, ignore the effects. There is some actual like definition of what an effect is now in the rulebook, and so it's a bit more clear when that will go off. If you look at the core book, you can check out my review of the core book where I talk about that a little bit. And then Breath of the Mire Drakes. At the start of the combat phase, roll a dice for each enemy within 3. On a 1, nothing happens. 2 to 5, they take a mortal wound, and on a 6, they take D3 mortal wounds. So he just has an aura of mortal wounds, which is kind of cool. So he's not as supportive as the Kill Boss is, except for negating spells, but he does have a cool like damage buff. The Swamp Kala Shaman with a Potgrat. 5-inch move, 5+ save, 6 wounds, and bravery 6. He's got his Bogbark Staff. 3-inch range, 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, D3 damage. He's actually a better fighter than the Knight Arcanum, which I find super weird. He's a wizard, cast 1 to spell 1, contains the Potgrat, and he gets a backup Stabba for 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. He's got potions and elixirs. In your hero phase, if this unit's more than 3 from all enemy units, instead of attempting to cast any spells, they can brew a potion or an elixir. If you do so, pick a friendly KRULEBOYZ Orruk unit, wholly within 12 of this model and more than 3 from the enemies. They can't be engaged. And that has at least 1 model within 3 inches of this unit to be given the potion or the elixir. He has to hand it the party favors. A unit that has been given a potion or elixir can't be given another one in the same hero phase. If that unit's given a poison, poison, until your next hero phase, when you use your Venom and Crust weapons, it's 5s instead of 6s to get a mortal wound. If the unit's given an elixir, add 1 of their save rolls. So basically, don't cast a spell. I think the exploding mortal wounds on 5s is probably going to be the way to go. But +1 save's cool too. And then Summon Boggy Mist is his basic spell. It casts on a 7. If cast until your next hero phase, add 1 of the charge rolls for friendly KRULEBOYZ Orruk units on the battlefield and subtract 1 from charge rolls for other units. So you're actually -1 to charge with your Hobgrats when you cast that, because they're not KRULEBOYZ Orruks. So worth noting, it affects you too. Man Skewer Bolt Boys, getting ready to shoot some guns. 5-inch move, 2 wounds, 6+ save, and bravery 5. They've got a hasty shot or an aim shot. Hasty shot is if you don't move. If you do move, and then aim shot is if you don't move. So if you've moved, 12-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. If you haven't moved, 24-inch range, 1 attack, 2s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. So very accurate. Melee weapons, I got a Jaggedy Blade, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. And then pick them off. When this unit attacks with its Man Skewer crossbows, use the aimed shot characteristic if it did not make a normal move and is more than 3 from all enemy units. Otherwise, use the hasty shot. So if you're in melee too, you got to use the hasty shot. They're a cool unit. It's nice to have like a decent, accurate shooting unit in a horde army like Orruks. Gut Rippers. These are the Bottleline unit with their cool scare shields. 5-inch move, 5+ save, 2 wounds, bravery 5. Add 1 to this unit. 1 model can be a Gut Ripper boss. He gets +1 attack. Wicked Stickers have a 2-inch range, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, 1 damage. But remember, you're fishing for mortal wounds here. And then Scare Tactics. At the start of the charge phase, if this unit's more than 3 from all enemy units, you can pick 1 enemy unit within 12 of this unit that is not a hero or monster and roll 2d6. Add 1 to the roll for every 5 models in this unit, because they point their scary shields at them. If the roll is equal or greater than the bravery characteristic of that enemy unit, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks by that enemy unit that target this unit until the end of the turn. So they can scare shooting units or even the unit they're about to charge. And then last but not least, it's Hobgrat Slitters. On loan from the Chaos Dwarves, they've got a 5-inch move, 6+ save, bravery 4 and 1 wound. So nice that the killer boss keeps them from running away. And they're carrying hand grenades, sulfuric scrap grenades, 8-inch range, 1 attack, 4s and 3s, -1/1 damage. It's a pretty great, like, basic little shot. And then slitted knives, 2 attacks, 4s and 5s, 1 damage at 1-inch range. You get +1 attack with your champion, the Hobgrat boss, and then the standard bearer lets you reroll battle shock tests for a unit that includes any scrap totem bearers. Not super useful if you're going to keep a killer boss nearby, because he'll just mean that they're probably going to fail. You just don't fail by a lot. And then a musician, if you have a musician, your noisemaker, you can run and still shoot. So run and shoot with those 8-inch range bombs. And then stab and good, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack with a slitted knife is a 6, it does 2 hits instead of 1. So even though they don't look great on paper, having exploding 6s on your melee attacks is pretty great. And that's your kind of like horde unit of slitters that can shoot. And I love that they can run and shoot. That's super useful in this edition. And so there you go. Obviously, the what this is going to be, they can be combined with Orruk Warclan stuff, so you've got that right down on paper. But there are a bunch of new units already in the pipeline for these guys. We've seen the big Trog. We've seen a bunch of other little guys that you know are already spoiled. And we'll get to see theirs hopefully soon. I'm really hoping that the battle tome for these come out soon, because this is my other new edition, 3rd edition army for Age of Sigmar. So I'm pretty pumped to get them painted. They have a cool old school vibe. And they do seem to dish out, like, just fishing for mortal wounds on everybody and getting that -1 to hit from the shields. Being able to offset battle shock. They seem fairly tasty. The one thing that's not in here that is in the core game, I guess, is you can rally to bring guys back. They don't seem to have a lot of resurgence. The Stormcast comparatively have a lot more healing and resurgence than these guys do, and they're counting on, you know, a whole bunch of like luck, basically pulling out 6s to do mortal wounds and get past those good armor saves. So what I'm hoping is you see some like create new units functions when we see the battle tome. You see some healing functions, maybe the mists or like an ambush function to get them alongside. That obviously this is just a beginner, get you started, a bunch of allegiance abilities. Maybe we'll get some of that stuff in the battle tome. That's going to make this make a lot more sense. Because right now they just look like a horde army, has like one interesting like mortal wound gimmick, and they're not that different from another horde army. You know what I mean? Like they're so far not that interesting, because I don't know what their gimmick is that makes them different and interesting to play. So we'll see when the battle tome comes out what that looks like, and I'm excited to paint these guys in the meantime. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. You can check out the core book review and the Stormcast review also out today. Until then, I'm Ash. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Deathray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.